can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Weisz.
Dr. Jeremy Weisz here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Some you've never heard of and some you've heard of. Juan, I love telling the journey and the stories. It's not always rosy along the way, and some of those bumps and challenges in the road. And you should I tell people, check out past episodes. There's one with Pipedrive co-founder Mas. He talks about having brain surgery, getting married, and moving from Estonia to the US all in the same year. At the time, they had about 10,000 paying customers when I interviewed him. Now they have over 100,000 customers. So they've grown tremendously. There's also an interview with Chris Ategeka, and he moved. It's an amazing story. I mean, one of the most amazing stories I've heard. He grew up in Uganda, and his parents died of AIDS when he was young. When he was 7, he had to take care of the whole household. It's an amazing journey. And he speaks 9 languages. He ended up coming to the U.S. for college. And just what he did. He formed nonprofits and for-profit companies. And we're going to dig in with Juan's story in a second. And in kind of that theme, Juan, of it fascinates me when someone has to pick up, they live in a different country and they have to move to another country, because we sometimes take those things for granted. You know what I mean? And you show up in another country and just things are different. So we're going to talk about Juan's story and what happened with him. But before I introduce you, today's episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, I co-founded my business partner, John Corcoran, and we help businesses launch and run their podcast. What I see, Juan, in my life, and I know you're very similar, is the number one thing in my life is relationships. And I always look of how do I give to my best relationships? And the podcast is a way that I can profile others' thought leadership and their companies to give to them. And so if you're a company and you're thinking about starting a podcast, you can call us. We've been doing it for over 10 years, rise25.com, and check it out. Now, today's guest, I'm super excited, and a big thank you to Dean Dutro and Ryan O'Connor at Worth e-commerce. They help e-commerce stores increase sales by 20% or more through email. And they have the Relationship Commerce podcast where they have top leaders in e-commerce. And that's how I met Juan, because Dean was like, you need to have Juan on. He's amazing. I'm like, I trust you, Dean. Let's do it. And Juan Chavez is a serial entrepreneur. He runs an e-commerce business called JMC Automotive Equipment. It's been in the Inc. 5000. He also runs a VIP Concierge entertainment company and a call center in Colombia. Now, call center is not really proper. It's really, what's the solution does it provide, right? So if you have sales, customer service, or marketing needs, they have nothing but English-speaking agents that handle other company services. So check it out. Email Juan. You can go to jmcautomotiveequipment.com to check out what they're doing there. They've been in the industry for the past 20 years and have extensive knowledge in everything automotive repair related. So Juan, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
I want to start the journey, when you moved to the U.S. So talk about life in Peru and then transitioning, actually just moving to a different country in general, right?
So, so like you said, I was born in Peru, right? My family moved to New York when I was 11. So that was back in 93, right? In Peru at that point, there was a lot of terrorism going on.
Really?
So,
wow.
A lot of terrorism, a lot of inflation. The current president wasn't doing a good job. He actually became a dictator for quite a while. So that's when we actually basically had to flee the country, because there wasn't that much, we didn't have that much money, and obviously there wasn't that much opportunity, right? So luckily, my grandmother lived in New York at the time. She had moved to New York, I think, in the 70s. So, of course, my father went to New York to basically find a new opportunity for us. And that's when, little by little, like when he first moved over there, right? As any immigrant moving to the United States would do, like a lot of people say, hey, go get a job as a cook, go get a job as a dishwasher. My father actually did not want to do that because he was obviously a college graduate, was in the military in Peru, and an English-speaking person. So he actually decided to become a salesperson in the automotive world. Yeah. So like actually, basically, what he started doing in '93 when he moved to New York was what I'm doing right now, selling equipment to auto repair shops and auto body shops, right? So literally within the first 3 months, he became top salesperson in his company because his only motivation was to bring us from Peru to New York.
Did he
Of
come
course,
by himself then at the time?
he came by himself.
Wow, that's a tough
First.
choice.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had to because we didn't have any money for an extra
Right.
ticket. So at first, he actually moved to Mexico because my uncle lived there. So he tried to look for an opportunity in Mexico. Within like a month, he saw that he couldn't find anything, so he decided to go to New York. He arrived to New York in '93 or '92, excuse me, and within 3 months, he finally was able to bring my mother, then my sister, and then me in September of '93 to New York. And of course, I was 11, so I wasn't really aware of what was going on too much. I was to a certain extent. But
What were you thinking at the time? What was going through your head?
at first, I was like, awesome, we're going to New York. We're going to live in the United States. Of course, once we were moving, I was very sad because my family lived in Peru. My friends to this day I speak to lived in Peru, so I was sad. But I was also excited that I was going to see my father and my whole family because, like I said, the only members of my immediate family that were in Peru at the time was me and my little sister. So my mom, my other sister, and my father were in New York already. So I was excited to see them, but I was also sad that I was.
So they
leaving Peru.
sequentially kind of went over. You were the last person to go
I
over?
was the last person. Yep. Because my sister, my younger sister, couldn't live without my father. So my father did anything. He bought the ticket for her and brought her to New York right away. Then of course it was my mother. My father was able to buy my mother the ticket, so my mom can travel to New York. And then of course it was me and my youngest sister.
That's amazing. Juan, it really is. Like, you have to be good at that time. If you're bad, your parents are like, all right, Juan, you better be good or we're not, we're leaving you there.
I don't think they wanted it. I mean, I was a good kid, but regardless if I was a bad kid, I'm pretty sure my father was.
But what was it like? What was the transition like once you got there? Was it easy? Was it hard?
It was hard because of the English. I didn't know how to speak English at the time. So it took, being that I was 11 and that I went to a school, that basically everybody spoke English, I learned pretty much in 6 months how to speak English. So
that's amazing.
And then,
wow.
Yeah, and then afterwards, basically, I was able to communicate. But it was those first 6 months were pretty hard. Like I couldn't speak to anybody. There wasn't any Latinos in my school at the time.
Really,
so,
none.
Yeah, in that particular school, there weren't. I think there was one, but I didn't really get along with him. So, so I kind of was forced to hang out with the English-speaking kids, which was good for me, So,
that talk about a driving force, Juan. Like your dad comes, he's like, I gotta make sales because I need to bring my family over here.
Yep.
You know.
So that was a pretty cool story. When he didn't tell, I didn't know this back then, but he told me this when I was a little older. That everybody, when he first got there, they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna hook you up with a job as a dishwasher. I'm gonna get you a job as a cook in a restaurant." He was like, "No, that's not gonna make me any money." He knew his self-worth. Like I said, he had graduated college, English-speaking person, very disciplined and hardworking. So he knew what he can accomplish. So he went to a job where they didn't pay him any salary, but he was able to get earn high commissions. So
what brought you? Tell me about how you got started in the automotive world.
So at first, once I graduated college, he actually got me a job in the company that he was working with doing sales. But as a 21-year-old kid, you're visiting repair shops where there's nothing but 40 to 50-year-old
You're
men.
going door to door. You're going shop to shop.
Yeah, I'm going door to door. I hated it. I literally hated that job. And within I think I didn't make not one sale when I was 21, 22. And I actually left. I was like, I told my father that I was like, this is not for me. I'm sorry. He's like, if you want to quit, go ahead. Do what you got to do. So after that, did real estate for a couple of years. in New York, in Wall Street. That I actually enjoyed. And in 2008, when the whole recession hit, I was like, the real estate market was going down. So I couldn't continue doing that. So I was like, you know what, let me go into law school so I can at least go back to school and have a degree in law, which is something that I thought would help me out in my career. So then as I was studying for the LSATs, I met a lot of lawyers. And a lot of these lawyers told me that they weren't happy, they were sad, they were depressed, they were working 80 hours a week, never able to enjoy their life. So I was like, you know what, that's not the life for me either. I was actually very good at the LSATs classes, but I didn't want to have that lifestyle. And right around that same time is the opportunity was presented to me to come to travel to Medellin to start a call center. This is in 2009. Right. So my business partner at the time was able to find he was able to find an investor so they can bring us down here. And they did. And the reason how Medellin comes into play is because I had a friend that was living in Medellin since 2006. He started a call center. So we were like, hey, we could do the same thing. Right. So we started the call center. That lasted for a year. And that basically after a year, it kind of just crashed completely. First business as a 26, 27-year-old kid, didn't know what I was doing. So, it went down the drain. Right after that.
What was it about it?
It was a call center selling a service in the financial industry. So we were doing good at first. We were selling, but of course, when you come to a different country, especially something like Medellin, where it's a very fun place, to say the least, you get distracted and it didn't work out for us. About a year and a half later, I started talking to my father about his business, right? And he still kept on doing selling automotive equipment. Now by this point, he's very well known in the New York City area as the go-to guy when it comes to automotive equipment for any auto repair shops, right? So I told him, just having a conversation with him, he tells me that he's only able to visit maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 people a day, but still he's doing well, right? So obviously an idea starts, I started coming up with an idea to create a website where people can just come to our site, like an e-commerce site where people can come and see the products and buy, not just in New York, but across the country, right? So my father calls a digital marketing company at the time, and they tell him that it's going to cost $10,000 to create a website. I was like, listen, I can literally do it for like $30. All I need is the domain and the hosting, and I'll figure out what to do. So I put up a website.
This is pre-Shopify, or was Shopify around at the time?
Pre-Shopify, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So I put up a website. I forgot what the name of the company that I put the website with was called. And I put up some products that my father had, right? A couple of brands. And like I said, I didn't know anything about digital marketing. I didn't know anything about e-commerce. I kind of just started doing my research as I went along. And in the third month of having the website, we had our first sale. To this day I remember what the sale was. It was a 4-post lift that was around $4,000, $5,000.
Wow.
So I got really
excited. That's a big first sale.
Yeah, that is a big first sale. So got really excited. I was like, this is working. This is amazing. And of course, I stopped doing running the call center because at the time we kept the call center, but we were looking at different campaigns, that would pay us. And of course, none of them worked. And once I got that first sale, I was like, let me stop doing the call center. Let me focus my time in this, because not only is it working, but it could be it's my family's business, right? So I started paying more and more attention to that. And that's how basically I came back to the automotive industry from the beginning of time, from basically when my father started this. To answer your question.
So what was the next step in you growing JMC Automotive Equipment? So, I could see, listen, Dad, going to 10 shops a day, let's open up to the US, and you don't have to go there, or you have the relationships, just send them to the site. What was the next step to grow JMC Automotive?
Well, Well, first I had to learn about e-commerce, learn about digital marketing, and learn about the equipment that I was selling, right? So obviously, like little by little, I started learning more and more, and just calling random companies in the automotive industry so we can become distributors for them. And at first, of course, they were like, "No, we don't know who you are. We're not going to give you a distribution." But little by little, after our name became well known, they started like giving us a distribution, and now people are just coming. Like we get manufacturers coming up to us every month wanting us to represent their products. But the next step basically was just learning about e-commerce, learning about digital marketing, and learning how to get people into our website, which at the time we weren't doing any paid advertising, but we were doing a lot of SEO, and Black Hat SEO, to say the least. So
Define, tell me, what do you mean by Black Hat?
Okay, so I don't do SEO as much anymore. Like me personally, I mean, I hire a company that does SEO. But at the time, there was two major types of SEO. For those don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. It's how you rank your website organically, so people can find it in Google, right? So there's Black
Someone
Hat.
searches best tires, you come up, and they buy tires from you, or whatever the case is.
Exactly. So so it's Black Hat and White Hat SEO. White Hat is the good way to do SEO, where you have a lasting impression, and obviously it takes a long time to rank for certain keywords through White Hat. And Black Hat is basically the shady way. Some would say, like, the illegal way of ranking very, very fast. So we actually were able to rank for a lot of keywords doing Black Hat SEO, and then like our website started just getting traffic, started getting a lot of sales. And
do those things still work today? But you're not supposed to do them at this point. But early on, when people are doing SEO, I think it was just all gray, right? Like, those things that are considered, whatever, Black Hat now, back when people were doing them, were just ways that you rank. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So once Google started changing the way their algorithm, that's when they started calling it Black Hat and White Hat. And of course, the things that we were doing were illegal in Google's eyes. But at that time, it wasn't. It was just like you said, it was a free for all. So of course, Google changed its algorithm. They did. I forgot which one it was. I forgot. But we all of the keywords that we were ranking on the first page got sent to the last page. So of course, that brought down our traffic completely. So we had to come up with different ways. But this whole journey is all about learning, and basically and learning different ways to get people to our website. Whether it's SEO, social media, paid advertising, or whatever it is. And bringing new manufacturers to the website. Yeah.
So SEO is one way, and you still do, kind of more proper SEO now.
Yeah.
What are some other ways that you were able to get traffic to the site?
Paid advertising, Google Shopping. So I have the person that actually handles my Google Shopping. He was my business partner when I opened up the call center, right? I took the e-commerce direction, and he took the paid, like after we closed on the call center, he took the paid advertising, digital marketing direction. So he really focused on that, and he became very, very good at what he does. Actually, he still does that for me, and I have great results for paid advertising with him. Apart from that, a lot of blogging. So, I was putting out articles for repair shop owners, like I would call them basically like, how to market your repair shop so you get more people through the door. So of course, who's going to read that? Auto repair shop owners, so I was giving a lot of value to these auto repair shop owners through websites like LinkedIn, Facebook, on the Facebook groups and the LinkedIn groups. So we will get people coming into our website like that and getting to know us, so not that they bought the first time, but they will look at the article, learn a little bit, and then remember our name when they had to buy something.
So who are ideal customers for you? It sounds like it's not so much the end consumer, but a lot of repair shop owners are the best customers.
Yep. So it's a lot of auto repair shop owners, the decision makers of whoever buys in the repair shop. You know,
Which is
and
smart.
now
Yeah.
yep,
Because like I order one tire, but the repair shop owners probably ordered lots of tires every week because all the repairs are doing.
yep. Well, we don't sell tires. We sell, for example, like the bigger equipment, like car lifts, tire changers, wheel balancers. A regular consumer is not going to buy it unless
Mm,
you're a big car enthusiast, like right. So like we do get
you
people
have bigger
buying a car.
equipment.
Yeah, yeah. Like like for example, we do sell to consumers, but it'll be like a car lift, like a 4-post car lift, like
Right.
a parking lift type of thing, you know. But everything else is basically D2B.
Got it. Yeah. I guess I was reading the tire changers because you have tire changers, car lifts, auto body tools. So it's really for that someone who owns the auto body shop.
Yep, yep. Auto body and auto repair shops.
Mm, that's really cool. So what's a popular product?
The most popular product that we have is a 2-post lift, right? Because every shop will need that.
Mm,
So it's basically, do you know what a 2-post lift is?
no, I'm
So
ignorant when it comes to car repairs.
gotcha. So I mean, you've seen them every time you pass by a repair shop. They have
Yeah.
it. It's basically it has 2 posts, and these 2 posts, for example, the car will go in here, and it will lift up the car up and down.
Mm,
That way, the mechanic doesn't have to get on the ground and fix the car, from
bad
its
for the
back.
back.
Yeah, like basically the car will lift up, and then the mechanic will just fix the car underneath.
So where does the call center come into place? Because now you do have a call center,
Yeah,
right?
so now I have a call center, but basically this call center was developed through my own team of people that work for me, all right? Because I do have several businesses, and I have created or I have developed different leaders in my businesses, so I can focus more on expansion of the business and opening up different types of business as well. Because I don't know what it is about me, but I'm always looking for more, right? So like obviously when I saw the opportunity to start a call center where I can help other businesses, maybe in the sales, customer service, or marketing, I wanted to do that, right? Right now it's just taking off, so like it's not like I'm really focusing on that because I still focus on the e-commerce side. But we do have a couple of potential clients that have digital marketing agencies, for example, and they use us to develop their websites, to come up with some designs for them. Right now, one digital. My friend's agency is asking us about SEO packages for his clients. So it's basically white labeling stuff for him.
You're doing the same stuff that you do for your own business for other
Correct.
people. And at what point did you find a need for a call center for JMC Automotive? Because were people then just wanting to call, like they need help navigating the website, or what was the need there that you was like, yeah, we better get some people answering the phones?
Well, when I first started, I was doing everything myself. And I was
Yeah.
answering the calls, doing the accounting, doing the marketing, doing the customer service, sending out the orders, sending out the tracking information. So little by little, I started hiring people to help me out, right? So first, I wanted to handle sales. So I hired a customer service rep that would help me fulfill the orders, send it out to the manufacturers, send the tracking to the clients, And once more and more calls started coming in, I started hiring sales guys, so on and so on, so now, for example, we have 4 salespeople, we have 2 customer service reps, 2 marketing people, 1 bookkeeper that helps me with my business. So, and obviously it's taken me a long time to develop
Yeah.
the team to the point it is. And like I said, to develop leaders, because I think that's the most important part, not to just teach them the basics of the business, but also to develop them as leaders so they can come up with their own decisions. And even if they make mistakes, it's okay, right? So it could leave me, the owner of the company, to create or to help out with expansion, or to expand the company a little bit more, and to seek other opportunities in either the same industry or different industries.
So what do you look for in a good salesperson? What are the salespeople doing?
Enthusiasm,
Yeah.
positivity, right? Because if obviously, like, selling automotive equipment, you're not going to find a random person that knows about automotive equipment, right? So obviously, in order for you to be good at sales, I think you need to have enthusiasm, be positive, and a no quit attitude, because you're going to hear a lot of no's, right? Luckily, everything in our e-commerce site is inbound, right? So I tell them, be enthusiastic, ask these people, how are you, what's going on, how, especially with everything going on right now, because right now we can ask them, hey, how you doing? How's your family doing? Is everybody healthy? And reach out to them, go that extra mile. Because when I call the manufacturers that I work with, I mean, the customer service
business as usual.
It's not. They're not that enthusiastic.
Right.
So they're like, hey, Juan, how you doing? They're not like, hey, Juan, what's going on? How's the family? Some of them do and some of them don't. So I like calling, for example, the manufacturers that ask, hey, how's your family? Hey, how you doing? How are you guys healthy? How's business? Where the other manufacturers are like kind of customer service is just, yes, we have this in stock. This is this much, so I kind of learn from that. And basically I'm kind of like teaching my guys, hey, be enthusiastic, be positive, be energetic, because that's what I like to hear when I call all the places. And that's what a regular person wants to hear as well.
That comes through. It totally comes through.
Exactly.
What was the most important position that you were so excited to get off your plate?
Definitely customer service, because I like sending the order to the manufacturer. It kind of just I wanted to focus on sales and marketing. So that kind of, like, in my eyes, not a waste of time, obviously, but definitely something that's extremely important. But I rather focus my strengths on sales and marketing. So sending out tracking information, that's something that I was glad to take off.
Yeah, totally. I want to point people towards the site, and if there's any other places we should point them towards, I have two last questions. One, they can go to jmcautomotiveequipment.com. If you know repair shops, that'd be perfect. Actually, I do know a bunch, so it's funny. Or someone who knows a lot of repair shops, so we'll have to talk about that. But where else should we point people towards, Juan, to check out about you, about the companies?
So I have a couple of companies, right? The call center is called JMC Enterprises.
Okay.
So the name of the website is jmcenterprises.co, right? We just launched it. We launched the website a couple of months ago. So we just started working on the Instagram, Facebook, all the social media venues. And of course, I also have the VIP and concierge services in Colombia, both in Medellin and Cartagena. So basically, like, for people that are looking to vacation, that are looking to travel, and that need a company to take care of everything from A to Z, from transportation, housing, tours, English speaking, translators, everything, that's the company to go to. And that would be MedellinVIP.net and CartagenaVIP.net. Those are also my companies as well. And of course, if you want to follow me on my personal social media accounts, is jchavez1898. Instagram, Twitter, everywhere.
Got it. Thank you. Everyone check those out. We'll link them up. Juan, I always ask, since it's Inspired Insider, what's been a low moment, a challenging point that you had to push through? And then on the flip side, what's been a proud moment? What's been a challenging low moment? So
that's easy. Last year around this same time was a very, very low moment, because my second born was just, he was born, and I was more focused on family, and the bookkeeper I had at the time wasn't doing the correct job at the bookkeeping. So I noticed after a couple months that we were losing a lot of money. We were obviously we're spending more money than was coming in. So I got very scared at one point, because it's not just me anymore that I'm taking care of. Now I'm taking care of my wife, my two kids, I have responsibility behind me. So I was very, very afraid to fail. And it was a very low point up to, like, that I basically speak to my father every day, and just telling him what was going on, very nervous, very scared about what was happening, did not know how to climb out of that hole and that debt that I was in. So I was basically telling my father, like, hey, I'm just going to go for bankruptcy, because I don't think I don't think I can handle this, like mentally, and of course, talking to my father, he's been in business since he was 20 years old. So he was like, how much money you losing? He's like, this much. He's like, I lost about 10 times more, throughout the time that I've been in business. So obviously that didn't make me feel any better.
You're like, thanks. That doesn't make me feel better.
But at the same time,
you're like, I'm actually more scared now after that talk.
Well, the thing was, like, when you're going through these things, through these hardships, you think you're the only person that's going through it. You're like, wow, I suck as an entrepreneur. I suck as a business owner. I'm really the only person that's going through it. So you're not even opening up your eyes to what's going on. So obviously, speaking to my father, him telling me that story was like, okay, like, it's not making me feel any better, but people go through this stuff. People go through the lows in business, and of course I gone through all the lows, but not as bad as the one that I did last year. And of course, just talking to different entrepreneurs, was how I was able to climb out of that hole. And they were like, yeah, we're kind of going through the same thing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you have to have, and something that I kind of like started, mental resilience, where you have to be positive during those hard times. And that's when mental resilience is going to come about, and I, like, now that I look back, I those months that I was sad and scared and nervous, I learned a lot, because, like, even though I wanted to quit, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna push through, and definitely develop different tactics on what I could do in order for the business to survive. Because at that time, my mentality wasn't surviving, not thriving. Like, now it's something that I kind of like tell myself, like, you have to thrive, not just survive, right? And of course, at that point, all I could think about was just like survive. I was in survival mode in my mind. And for example, I even started doing cold calling to every client I had, and just try to sell them the equipment that we had, and that worked. That was it. I was actually able to do a lot of big equipment, doing that. And of course, implementing different marketing strategies, like motivating my team a little bit more so they can start selling a lot more. That's how I was able to climb out of that hole. And but yeah, that was been the hardest time as an entrepreneur.
Is that how you turned it around, Juan? You basically just rolled up your sleeves and just started calling?
Yep. So I looked at the different opportunities that I had, right? So I told myself, okay, what can I do in order to diversify what I'm doing right now? So I started writing more, like, because once you get successful, you kind of like, all right, like, you get
There's a
you get a little
complacency.
comfortable. Yeah, you get a little comfortable, which is what happened to me. And of course, the distraction of my kids being born and everything like that, it was a little bit of a distraction. So kind of just went back and did what I had to do. Started cold calling, started writing blog articles again, started, pushing my team, started basically doing a lot of what I used to do in the beginning of the business in order to become successful again. And then little by little, sales just started climbing back up, which kind of made me relax, but not relax what I was doing with work, but just relax mentally. And once I was able to relax and not be nervous and not be scared and not be, pretty much think of myself like, as a failure, I was able to look for different opportunities and just diversify more and more and more and more.
Thanks for sharing that. Because anyone's been in business, they've gone through that. There's ups and downs. What about on the flip side? A proud moment?
A proud moment, probably in the past couple of months. Well, there's been a couple of them, right? Obviously, me joining the Inc., becoming a part of the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row was a really proud moment. But I think an even prouder moment was when this whole pandemic hit. Of course, I started feeling those same feelings of anxiety that I felt last year, right? So I was like, okay, I'm kind of used to this. So I was able to control those feelings a little bit more. And I was able to, what I wanted to do is like, hey, listen, let me try to see how I can help the most business owners as much as possible, my own clients, right? So I started sending out personal emails or emails to my whole email marketing list. Like, hey, just positive, honest, hey, if you guys need anything, I'm here, right? Something that would make them feel good, both mentally, sending out business advice, and just telling them like, hey, here's my personal number. If you need to speak to anybody, please call me. Even if you need to just listen to somebody, or just, if you want to cry, because I know people are going through a rough time, So I sent several emails out, and I got a lot of good responses, a lot of positive, like, hey, thank you very much. You're making me feel better. Like, just reading your email definitely, it's helping me climb out of this hole mentally, and then about a month after I sent those emails out, right, I got a call from I called one of my clients because we had to do we didn't have his product that he bought because it was on back order, and because of this whole pandemic, we couldn't ship it out. So I called them personally, which sometimes I do. I still do sales calls, and so the guy was like, hey, is this Juan? He was like, yeah, this is Juan. He's like, Juan, thank you so much for calling me. I really appreciate those emails you sent out in the beginning of this whole thing, because it really helped me, get to that positive mindset, because everybody at the time they didn't know what was going on, So just him telling me that, I was like, wow, like I impacted people with those emails that I sent out, So that was really cool that I was able to help out business owners, kind of be more positive, even though we had this whole, excuse my language, shitstorm going on, which of uncertainty, we didn't know what could happen. So that was a really really proud moment for me, a very emotional when that client called me up, and he's from the bottom of his heart. He told me thank you like 50 times on the phone. So it was really, really cool to hear that.
That's rewarding, making an impact to some of those people. Juan, I'm going to be the first one to thank you. Everyone should check out jmcenterprises.co and jmcautomotiveequipment.com. Juan, thanks for being with me.
Jeremy, no, thank you very much for having me in the show.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other